Hello all, and welcome back to one of most secret stories in Cold War period. After the fall of the Third Reich in 1945, hundreds of Nazis fled Germany, some to Argentina, others to Brazil. But there was one man who carried Nazi ideology and traveled with it to a place no one could imagine: Chile. His name was Poul Schafer. He was neither a prominent military officer nor a scientist like those kidnapped by America in Operation Paperclip, but a simple pastor, hiding behind an appearance of asceticism and goodness. But he had one dangerous ability: complete manipulation of people's minds. Schäfer fled Germany after being accused of sexually abusing children in the orphanage he managed. The press was pursuing him, the judiciary closing in, and society rejected him. But like many fugitives, he knew the way. In 1961, Poul Schafer entered Chile with an official permit, benefiting from the conflicts of the Cold War and the anti-communist rhetoric. He presented himself as a Christian missionary, wanting to establish a virtuous colony to help the poor and spread moral values. Despite the dark files pursuing him in Germany, Chilean authorities, especially under President Jorge Alessandri, welcomed him and granted him vast lands in the south in the name of a German charitable project. With his gentle appearance and use of religious and charitable language, he gained the support of local officials, some churches, and even segments of the population. No one suspected him. On the contrary, he obtained full legal protection. And in 1961, he suddenly appeared in southern Chile, carrying with him a plan to build a pure paradise on earth, as he called it. But Schafer's paradise was none other than Colonia Dignidad, one of the darkest spots in contemporary history. There, isolated in the mountains, a German colony was built, surrounded by barbed wire and watchtowers. The inhabitants were not refugees, but his followers, Germans of rural origin, lured by promises, a life without sin, without corruption, without communism. But upon entering, their freedom ended. Men were separated from women, parents from their children. No marriage, no letters, no phone calls. People worked from dawn till midnight, forbidden to speak freely, even to think freely. As for the children, they were his first victims. Schäfer openly abused them, filmed his acts, and convinced them that what was happening was a spiritual necessity. He punished anyone who tried to object with solitary confinement, sedative injections, or food deprivation. Women, they were examined monthly to ensure they remained chaste. Men, subjected to group disciplinary sessions. Everything was recorded, everything under Schäfer's watchful eyes. But what happened inside was not more terrifying than what began happening in secret. In 1973, General Pinochet came to power in Chile via a bloody coup. His regime sought secret sites to torture and kill opponents. And Colonia Dignidad was ready. Despite the change from a civilian government to a military dictatorship, Pinochet's authorities did not touch the colony. On the contrary, it was used as an official site to torture political prisoners. The reason? Schäfer presented himself as a fighter against communism, perfectly aligned with the new regime's ideology. The colony became a tool in the hands of the military government and a surveillance tool against the opposition. Successive governments either turned a blind eye or conspired out of fear or self-interest. The colony began receiving political prisoners away from the eyes of the press and international organizations. Underground rooms, electric tables, sedative injections, and unheard screams. Some detainees were electrocuted to death. Others underwent experiments with psychoactive drugs. Many have never been found to this day. But the colony was not just a torture machine. It was a huge underground economic project. gold was smuggled from illegal mines. Light weapons were manufactured and exported via shell companies. A vast banking network helped Schäfer transfer money, some through German banks. Here, the story took an international dimension. Leaked documents later revealed that the West German intelligence agency, BND, knew about the colony's existence and Schäfer's actions. Some evidence even points to the German embassy in Santiago receiving complaints from locals, but doing nothing. Why? Because Colonia Dignidad was used as a monitoring tool against the communist tide in Latin America. In other words, silence in exchange for political benefit. While the world forgot the colony, its victims grew up without memory, without documents, without identity. In the 1990s, testimonies began leaking to German media. Survivors who managed to escape spoke of mass rape, psychological experiments, and torture. But Schäfer fled to Argentina, where he lived under a false name, protected by former Nazi army men, until 2005, when he was arrested. After a brief trial, he was sentenced to 33 years, but he did not complete it. He died in prison in 2010, without asking for forgiveness, without confessing, without facing justice. In 2020, after political and ethical pressure, the German government announced a compensation fund of 10 million euros for Colonia Dignidad's victims. But the compensation is not enough to silence cries recorded on tapes never shown to the public. It is not enough to explain how one man could build a miniature state inside a state, practicing repression, hiding bodies, and receiving protection. Today, what remains of the colony bears a new name: Villa Bavaria, a tourist village welcoming visitors, offering German dishes, and displaying beautiful landscapes. But it does not mention the past. No plaque, no museum, no memorial. As if the place itself decided to forget. But truth cannot be erased. And the past, if not held accountable, repeats itself.